What's up, guys, and good morning, everyone. It's your boy Mayon Jones here, and we're back with another video. It's time to do an NFL mock draft prediction for round one, and we're gonna do it for round one. Now, I know there's 7 rounds on draft, but I'm not gonna do all 7 of them because I know 7 of them is a little bit too much, and I really want to get started with round one. So before I get to my draft prediction for round one. Don't forget to comment down your opinion below to see who you got, and comment down your. Feel free to put a thumbs up to like the video, and you can subscribe to my channel to see more of my videos. So let's get started here. So overall, for the first pick, I got the Tennessee Titans selecting the quarterback, and the quarterback I got the Titans selecting is Cam Ward. Now here's why I got the Titans selecting Cam Ward. Now I feel like, Cam Ward, the Titans need a quarterback because Will Levis, he kind of fall off last year. Mason Rudolph was starting. I really do have the Titans selecting a quarterback in the first round. And I do have Cam Ward going there because, Cam Ward, is a perfect fit for the Titans. He could be a really good upgrade over Will Levis, but I'm not sure if he's going to be a superstar, but I feel like he does have mechanics to be a superstar. He can make some plays. He can throw the ball down the field. He's accurate as a passer, and I feel like he's a solid fit for the Tennessee Titans, especially Brian Callahan can develop him, but they may not have a lot of weapons on offense. They still got Calvin Ridley. They still got Tony Pollard. Offensive line can get better because they do need some pass protection for the quarterback to make some plays and open up holes. So, yeah, I got the Tennessee Titans selecting Cam Ward. Number 2, the Cleveland Browns. This is tricky because the Browns need a lot, though. They need a wide receiver. They need a quarterback. They need a running back. But the Browns may not select. The Browns probably not going to select the running back in the first round. But I heard rumors saying they could totally select the quarterback because Deshaun Watson's probably going to be out for at least most of the season. But yeah, they did sign. They did sign Joe. They brought back Joe Flacco and they got Kenny Pickett. But I don't know if they're going to be QB1. But there's rumors saying they could totally trade him for Kirk Cousins. They can do all that, but I don't really see them trading for a quarterback. I think the quarterback position, they have to figure out who the starter is going to be. But for my projection, I got the Browns selecting Travis Hunter at number 2. Here's why. Now, the Browns do need a wide receiver. I feel like Travis Hunter, he can win one-on-one matchups. He can also play in 2 positions. He can play cornerback. He can play safety. He can play in 2 positions. He can play 3 positions. He can play on offense and on defense. He's good at covering number 1 guys, locking them down. He's good at winning one-on-ones outside. And I feel like he can be a really good receiver to complement Jerry Jeudy because Jerry Jeudy seems like he's really not a great number 1 receiver in my opinion. He's more of a number 2 slot receiver. I mean, they still got Nick Chubb, but he's a free agent. They got David Njoku. Offensive line is not great. Defensively, they're so pretty good. I mean, they retain Myles Garrett. They still got corners in secondary. They still got linebackers, but there's rumors saying they can select another pass rusher to complement, Myles Garrett, but I don't see it happening. But in my opinion, I think Travis Hunter is a perfect fit for the Browns. Number 3, I got the Giants. There's rumors saying the Giants could totally select the quarterback in the first round, but I don't see it happening because here's the thing. They signed, Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. Now, they could use a running back, but I don't see it. I mean, they got Tyrone Tracy. Wide receiver could totally be a need because they need a wide receiver to complement Malik Neighbors. Tight end may be a need as well. Offensive line is not great, but It's pretty young, but it could be getting older. But defensively, I could look to see them add another pass rusher. They may need help at corner. Safety's not a need. Linebacker may not be a need. But in my opinion, I think the Giants are going to select. I got the Giants selecting Abdul Carter. Here's why. I think Abdul Carter is a really good fit for the Giants because I think the Giants, I feel like he can totally complement that pass rush of Brian Burns and Brian and comment Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau. With Kayvon Thibodeau, there heard rumors saying he could be on the move. We'll see. Um, you know, I feel like Abdul Carter is a perfect fit for that Giants defense because he can totally win a matchup on the offensive line. He can confuse people. He can make the Giants defense special. So yeah, so I like Abdul Carter at number 3. Number 4, I really want the Patriots to select the pass rusher, but they did improve a lot at corner and the defensive line and at wide receiver. Maybe they may not need one. Running back's okay, tight end's okay, but at number 4, I got the Patrons selecting Will Campbell. And here's why. Now, I feel like Will Campbell is a really good, decent fit for the Patrons because he could totally fit the Patrons' offensive line. He can totally, block. He can totally win a matchup. He could totally, help, protect, Drake May, and it can open up space. And, Will Campbell, is a really good offensive lineman, and he could totally do a good job, protecting Drake May, open up holes, and pass blocking as well. It'll help. It'll be a huge upgrade for the Patrons all O line to get better because they do have a great coaching staff. They made so many improvements. So yeah, I like the Patrons. I like Will Campbell going to the Patrons for number 4. Number 5 is tricky. I think Jacksonville does need an offensive lineman. They do need a D tackle because they have holes there. Because they need all these things. But here's why I have the Jags selecting. I got the Jags selecting Mason Graham. And here's why. And the reason why I got the Jags selecting Mason Graham number 5 is because I feel like, he could totally be a really good D tackle to complement, Josh Hines Allen. And I really think that he can really get after the quarterback. He's a really good run stopper. And he can probably help the Jags run defense get better. And he could be the big man up there, and he can help, confuse offensive line. He can help stop the run. And I feel like he could be a perfect size fit for a Jags defense. So yeah, I got Mason Graham at number 5 for Jaguars, which I think that's going to be an awesome fit for him. Number 6 is tricky. I really wanted the Raiders to select the quarterback, but I feel like quarterback's not really a need because they got Geno Smith now. They got a good coaching staff. Um, Offensive line is solid. Defensively, they could be a little bit worse because, they lost some guys in secondary. They lost a linebacker in Spillane. Um, Actually, the Raiders, are saying they're favored to get a running back. So I actually got the Raiders getting Ashton Genty, and here's why. Now, I understand that the Raiders signed Raheem Mostert, but Raheem Mostert was not great last year. And, Mostert was a great signing, but I kind of have the Raiders selecting Ashton Genty. And the reason for that is because the Raiders, they need a running back who's solid. because I don't think Zamir White's gonna be the answer. Moster's not the answer, and I feel like Ashton Genty will be a really good running back one for this Raiders team because he could totally block and he can make people miss and he can probably help the Raiders O line block better and he can cut, open up a hole and he can hit it. And I feel like it can upgrade the Raiders running game because the Raiders run game was such a disaster last year. So yeah, so I like the Raiders. I like Ashton Genty at number 6 for the Raiders. Number 7, the Jets is tricky because I think the Jets, really need so many needs. They really need a tight end. They need to add another receiver. Defensively is not really a need. Corner, safety, not really a need after adding Cisco, but they could add another corner. They may need a linebacker, but I wouldn't address that. They may need to add another pass rusher, but I wouldn't address that. They need an offensive line, but their old line is pretty young. I mean, they added Josh Myers, but they really need a left tackle because Tyron Smith retired. So now the Jets' O line is totally in shambles because they need an offensive line. I mean, they already have an offensive lineman. They just need, So I got the Jets selecting Amar Aman Bamboo. And the reason why I had him selecting Amar Bamboo is because I think he can totally do a good job, protecting the Jets O line. He could totally get after, the quarterback. He could totally, do a good job, pass blocking. He could do a good job, getting, he can block. He can totally at least do a good job, protecting Justin Fields and help the Jets run game. And, yeah, he's a really good, pass blocker as well. So yeah, I like the Jets selecting Ahman Mambu at 7. Number 8 is tricky. I got the Carolina Panthers, they really need to go after defense in the draft because they need to go after defense in the draft. So basically, the Panthers, wide receivers not really a need. Tight end could be a need. Running back, is not a need after adding Rico Dowell. Offensive line is solid. They may not need to address that. But defensively, they really need tons of needs. They need another edge rusher to complement Derek Brown. They could need a linebacker because linebacking core is suspect. Corner and safety is not really a need because I added Mohart there. But in my opinion, as I'm really looking, I really want them to select the edge player, but maybe edge player, maybe linebacker. Like they kind of really need all these things. I don't know who the Panthers are going to select. So, in my opinion, I got the Panthers selecting Jahad Campbell. And the reason why is that, he could totally be an upgrade for the Panthers linebacking core because, the Panthers lost Frankie Louvu. So, yeah, because I really think that, they really, really need a linebacker because, the linebacker, because, Jahid Campbell, is a guy that can probably really like play inside linebacker, he can play outside linebacker. Because, he can play on both positions. So he could play more than one position. So yeah, I like Jahid Campbell at number 8 for the Panthers. Number 9 is tricky because the Saints really need tons of needs. They may need to go after corner. They may need to go after safety. They may need to go after linebacker because they're getting older on defense. Offensive line is pretty young because Ryan Ramczyk retired. The receiving core is fine. Um, Tight end is a need. Running back's not really a need. Quarterback's not really a need, but they could do it because Carr may not be able to play this season due to an injury. But from my sake of standpoint, I think the Saints really need to address something. So in my opinion, I think the Saints do need an offensive lineman, which I hope they can address that. So as y'all know, the Saints may need a cornerback. I got the Saints selecting Kelvin Banks at number 9, and the reason for that is because I think he can probably help the Saints O line get better. He can probably do a good job, pass protecting, and I think he can like get after the D line. He's a really good pass blocker, and he could totally open up pass protection for the Saints offense and open up holes for the Saints run game. So yeah, so I like that pick at number 9 for Calvin Banks. Number 10 is the Chicago Bears. You know, Chicago Bears, they really need tons of needs. They totally need to go after linebacker. They need tons of needs. I mean, corner's not really a need for the Bears. Safety's not really a need. Linebackers not really a need. D tackle's not really a need after adding J.A. Gray. Now, the Bears may not need an offensive lineman, but they could, though. But the Bears' O-line did improve. Wide receivers not really a need. Running backs not really a need for them. They got Swift. Tight end's not really a need for them because they got Komet. Quarterback's not really a need because Caleb Williams entering his second year. But here's what I think the Bears are going to select at number 10. At number 10, I got the Bears selecting Mike Green. Here's why. I think Mike Green is a totally great, good fit for the Bears defensive line because I feel like he can totally complement Montez Sweat and Grady Jarrett. And the Bears do need a number 2 pass rusher to complement him because they don't have a number 2 pass rusher. Because outside of Montez Sweat, their defensive line was not great, but even though defense was pretty good at the end of the year, I feel like he can really do a good job. I feel like he's really good with his size. Get after the quarterback. He can get some pressure, and he's a good run stopper. So yeah, I like that pick for the Bears at number 10 for Mike Green. Number 11 The 49ers, they totally have a lot of work to do because they're in shambles now because they do need a right tackle, they need a center, they need a guard, they need a defense. Their defensive line outside of Nick Bosa is not great. Linebacking core is not great outside of Fred Warner, but they got D Winters there. Their cornerback position is not great after losing Ward. Their safety position is not great, but Brown's not really the guy you want, or neither Richie Grant's the guy you really want. So the Niners had a lot of work to do. So they have a lot of work to do because they need everything. But here's what I think I got the Niners selecting. I got the Niners selecting Mason Graham at number 11. Here's why. Now, I feel like he can totally at least be a really good number two pass rusher to complement, Nick Bosa. He could be a really good D tackle, but which he totally can. He could be a really good replacement for Javon Hargrave because they need a D tackle. Because Mason Graham, he's a really good run stopper, and he has so many sacks. You know, he's a big man up, and he's a good run stopper. And he can find a ways to at least get after the quarterback. He can stop the run. You know, yeah. So I like that pick for the 49ers, getting Mason Graham at number 11. Number 12, the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys, may address saying that they might need a wide receiver, they might need a running back. I mean, wide receiver and running back is totally a need for Dallas Cowboys because, they lost, Brandon Cooks in free agency, and they need to find somebody to replace a number two wide receiver. They got CeeDee Lamb, they got Jake Ferguson. Now they do need number two wide receiver. I mean, yeah, they do got other receivers like Jalen Tolbert, Kevontae Turpin. Jalen Tolbert is a solid wide receiver, but he's not consistent enough. Same thing with Kevontae Turpin. He's not consistent enough, but he's a really good punt returner. So here's what I think the Cowboys are going to do. I got the Cowboys selecting a wide receiver in the draft. And I got the Cowboys selecting T-Mac and Deterrio McMillan. And the reason why I got the Cowboys selecting, a wide receiver in draft, because they need a number two wide receiver to complement CeeDee Lamb, which I think that's going to change how the way Dak plays and how the way, Dallas is respected by defenses. So, yeah. But I know they may need an offensive line, even though it's young. I know they need a pass rusher to complement Micah Parsons and Diggy Zua. They may need linebackers, but linebacking core is young. Corner is okay. Safety's okay. They may need a nickel corner because they lost Jordan Lewis. But they did at Elam, and Kenneth Murray, but they weren't great last year. I mean, Javonte Williams was not great last year. I mean, I did not like the signings of Dallas, but I feel like they really need running back. But for this round, in the first round, I got Dallas selecting a wide receiver because they need a wide receiver. Number 13, the Dolphins kind of tricky. Now, Dolphins may need a cornerback because Kendall Fuller's a free agent and Jalen Ramsey looks like he's going to get moved. He's going to get traded. So corners really has a need. Safety's really a need. Linebacking core could be a need. Offensive line is totally a need because Teron Armstead has to retire, so they need a left tackle. Receiver could be a need because there's rumors saying that Tyreek Hill could be on the move as well. So basically, I think the Dolphins are probably going to select an offensive lineman because they really need offensive line help. But here's what I got the Dolphins doing. I got the Dolphins selecting Tyler Booker at number 13. And the reason why I got them selecting Tyler Booker is because, I feel like, he can totally do a good job, will be a really good replacement to Teron Armstead because he can like get after, he can block, he can pass block better, and he can have good protection for Tua because, Tua sometimes can't stay healthy because due to injuries. And I don't know if Tua's ever going to be the same player because, he's been getting injured throughout his career. So, yeah, I really wanted Will Johnson, but in my opinion, I think Tyler Booker is an awesome fit for the Dolphins, offensive line. So I like that pick there. Number 14, I got the Indianapolis Colts, selecting a tight end in the draft. And the tight end I got them selecting is Tyler Warren. Here's why. I think Tyler Warren is a really good fit for the Colts because, Jelani Woods, he was out for the season due to an injury, and I don't know if he's going to be able to be ready. I feel like Tyler Warren can be a really good upgrade over, Tyler Warren is a really good, tight end for the Colts. I feel like he can do a good job with yards after the catch. He can route one better and he can get open. He can open up some space. So yeah, and he can totally fits the Colts offense with Shane Steichen's offense a lot. So yeah, I like that pick for the Colts. I love Tyler Warren at number 14. Number 15, I got the Falcons selecting the pass rusher. Um I got the Falcons selecting James Pierce Jr. And the reason why I got the Falcons selecting James Pierce Jr. is because, the Falcons, they need a pass rusher because, they signed Leonard Floyd, but he's really not a good number one pass rusher. I feel like James Pierce could be a really good number one, pass rusher for the Falcons. He can get out to the quarterback. He's a good run stopper. Like he's good against the run. He confuse people on the offensive line because he could be totally be the number one starter for the future, which I think that's the guy who they have for the long term answer. I mean, you know, Judon's a free agent, so he could leave. So he could totally leave and go to the foul. He could totally leave to go to a different team. So yeah. So by the way, I like James Pierce at number 15 for the Falcons. He's an awesome fit. Number 16, I have the Cardinals selecting. This is tricky because they might need a wide receiver. Offensive line is not really a need, but I would address that. Cornerback's really a need for the Cardinals because they need a corner. I mean, Sean Murphy Bunton is not a good number one corner, but he's not the guy you really want. Pass rush may not be a need because they added Josh Sweat and they brought back Calais Campbell. And BJ Olujalari is great. Linebacking core may not be a need, but I got the Cardinals actually selecting Will Johnson at number 16. And here's why. I feel like, Will Johnson, fits the Cardinals defense a lot better. Because now I heard Asante Samuel went to visit Cardinals, but I'm not sure if he's going to go there. But I think Will Johnson's an awesome fit for the Cardinals defense because he can totally, can be a huge upgrade for that cornerback system because Arizona needs a cornerback. He's really good at locking down receivers. Like he's really good with incompletions, and he can like get after the quarterback. He can get some sacks. He's a good tackler. Like he can do that as well. He's great at covering, and I feel like he fits that Cardinals defense system really good. So I like Will Johnson at number 16. Number 17, I got the Bengals going defense in the draft, and I think the Bengals, are gonna go after defense in the draft because Trey Henderson, he could be on the move. And we understand they lost Sam Hubbard because he retired. They brought back BJ Hill with his nights because they need an edge rusher. I mean, linebacking core is fine. They need corner. Here's what I got the Broncos doing. What the Bengals doing. I got the Bengals selecting Donovan. I got Donovan Ezirakueka at 17. I don't know how you pronounce it. I got Donovan Ez at 17 because I feel like he can be a really good pass rusher, number 2 pass rusher to complement Trey Henderson if he come back, which I'm not sure Trey Henderson is going to come back, but I highly doubt it. I feel like he's a perfect need for that Bengals defense. He fits the Bengals defense system a lot better. And I feel like, he can get after the quarterback. He's a great run stopper. He's a good sack. He's great at tackling. So I like that pick for the Bengals at 17. Number 18 is very tricky. Now, Seahawks, I got them selecting an offensive lineman in the draft. Because, their offensive line was not great last year. So basically, I got the Seahawks selecting Gray Zabel. And here's why. I think Gray Zabel is a really perfect fit for the Seahawks because Seahawks do need offensive line help because their offensive line was not great. Yes, they had a Cooper Kupp, which that's nice, but he's getting older. He might fall off. Now, I don't know if Sam Darnold's going to be the same player as he was last year. Now, he could totally fall off as well. I feel like Gray Zabel is a perfect fit for the Seahawks because I feel like he's an upgrade. He's a huge upgrade for that offensive line because the Seahawks didn't really have an offensive line for years. But now I feel like Gray Zabel is going to fit that system better with the Seahawks, with their offensive line, because he can help the Seahawks offensive line pass protect better and all that. So, yeah, I like Gray Zabel with that pick at number 18. Number 19 is tricky because the Buccaneers, have tons of needs. They really need corner. They might need to go after a number 2 corner. They may need to go after a linebacker, but they may not need to. Edge rush may not be a need after adding a Hassan Reddick. Man, this is tough. Do I want them to go after a defense? This is tough. Do I want them to go after defense? No, I'm gonna say the Bucks get Kenneth Grant because I think Kenneth Grant is totally a really perfect fit for the Bucks D line because I feel like he anchors the D line. He finds a way to fit Todd Bowles' system, and I feel like he can get after the quarterback. He's a good run stopper. And I feel like, that he can find a way to at least I feel like, the Bucks, find a way to get after, because they need a D line, they need a edge rusher, and their pass rush, because their pass rush was not great year, but they need an edge rusher. And I feel like Kenneth Grant is a really good fit for that Bucks defense because he can like anchor the D line. Like he's a good run stopper and all that. And I think he fit Todd Bowles' system really good. So I like Kenneth Grant with that pick. Number 20 is tricky. The Broncos, like their offensive line is pretty good. They may not need to address that. Defense not really need, especially corner, safety, linebacker, edge rusher. Like they did improve their defense. But offense, they kind of really need another weapon. They could look to go with receiver at draft. They could totally look to add another running back because they don't have a run game. But at number 20, I got the Broncos selecting Amarion Hampton, and here's why. Now the Broncos, they need a running game because they really want to run the football. So they really need Amarian Hampton because Amarian Hampton is a really good run blocker, and he can like open up holes. He can make people miss. He can break tackles. Like he can do all that, and I feel like he can totally be the Broncos running back one for the future, and he can totally be the long term answer for the Broncos. So yeah, I like Amarian Hampton with that pick. Number 21 is tricky. I have the Steelers selecting Shador Sanders. And here's why. The Steelers need a quarterback because I'm not really sure if Aaron Rodgers is gonna sign with the Steelers like either today or is he gonna sign before the draft or after the draft. I'm not sure because he's still undecided on the future. Now I don't know if Mason Rudolph, the red nosed reindeer, is gonna start. So I really want the Steelers to sign Aaron Rodgers, but it might not happen. Now Shador Sanders, I do like that pick at number 21 because the Steelers, they need a quarterback because I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is gonna play for that team. I mean, I like the wide receivers. They may not need to address that. The tight end is fine. The running back they might need an upgrade over Jalen Warren. Offensive line is solid, but it's young. Defense, they may not need. They may not have any needs they need to go through. So yeah, I like Shador Sanders with this pick at 21. Number 22, I got the Chargers selecting Derek Harmon. The reason why is that the Chargers do need a D tackle because they need to get after the quarterback. They need a good run stopper, and Derek Harmon is a really good run stopper because he can get after the quarterback. He can open up hole, like he can like find a way to not make people miss. He can sack. He can tackle. Like they need a D tackle to complement, Khalil Mack because they lost Joey Bosa and their D tackle was empty. And linebackers are okay. Safety is okay, but they do need cornerback though. But they do need a cornerback though because their corner position may not be great because they lost Christian Fulton. Asante Samuel, I don't know if is gonna come back, but I will love the Chargers to see them select the corner. But I got them going D tackle in the draft. So yeah, I like the Chargers with this pick on number 22 with Derek Harmon. Number 23 is tricky. I I really want the Packers to select Will Johnson, but they might select a corner because Jair Alexander might not come back with the Packers next year. But I want it to happen, but something's telling me that it might not happen. But you know what? I really want it to happen. So I mean, I really want him to come back, but I highly doubt he does. But I hope he comes back. But you know what? I got Shamar Stewart at number 23. And the reason why is that, I thought the Packers could totally use another pass rush to complement Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness. And I feel like he's a perfect fit for the Packers defense because he can get after the quarterback. He's a good run stopper. He had so many sacks last season and he can't make people miss. So yeah. So in my opinion, I like Shamar Stewart with that pick at 23. Number 24, I got the Vikings, going defense in the draft. Now, they may not need an offensive lineman. They may not need a receiver, tight end, or running back. Defensive line is fine. Linebacker could be a need. Edge rush could be a need. But the corner totally is a need because Stephon Gilmore may not come back. But I actually got Maxwell Harrison at number 24. And here's why. I feel like he can totally be a great replacement for Stephon Gilmore. And he's a really good at with incompletions. He's really good at stopping the pass. He can lock down wide receivers. He can tackle. And I feel like he fits Brian Flores' system a lot better. And I feel like he does fit his defense pretty good. So, yeah, because Vikings really need cornerback. So I do like Maxwell Harrison at that pick. Number 25, the Houston Texans is tricky. Now, I got the Texans selecting Josh Simmons, and here's why. Now, the Texans need an offensive lineman. They need to protect C.J. Stroud because C.J. Stroud was sacked like so many times last season because they need an offensive lineman to protect C.J. Stroud. The offensive line needs to play better. The defense may not be a need, but they need to go offensive lineman in the draft because they really need to get after the quarterback. So, yeah. So the Texans really do need an offensive lineman because they need to find a way to protect the quarterback, and they really need a good run blocker too. So I like Josh Simmons at number 25. Number 27, 6. I got the Rams. This is tricky because they need a lot of work to do on defense because they do need a linebacker, they need a cornerback, and they need safety. Now I heard them saying that they're opening a reunion to bring in Jalen Ramsey, but they can look to address linebacker because they totally need that. But offensive line and receivers not really a need. Tight end can totally be a need. Um, it's kind of tricky because Tyler Higbee, is probably not the same player. But I would lean towards a Rams selecting a corner. So I'm gonna say the Rams gonna select Trey Amos at number 26 because the Rams do need a cornerback because they need like a solid number one corner because their corner position was not great last year because they really need a number one corner. And I feel like Trey Amos can be a really good number one corner for the long term answer for the Rams. And I feel like he fits Shula's defense really well. And I feel like he's really good at like stopping guys, like locking down wide receivers, tackling and all that. So, yeah, I like the Rams with that pick at 26. Number 27, I got the Ravens selecting Walter Nolan. Here's why. Now, the Ravens do need a pass rusher because, they need to find somebody to get at the quarterback. Now, Kyle Van Noy is getting older, but they really need to find somebody younger to, like, complement Manamuke because they need an edge rusher. I mean, Allwave is great, but solid, but not great. And they totally need a defensive line. And I really feel like they need to build the defensive line around Manamuke. So yeah. So I like the Ravens at 27 with. So I like the Ravens with that pick at 27. Number 28, I got the Lions selecting Michael Williams. I like the Lions selecting Michael Williams. And the reason why I got the Lions selecting Michael Williams is because, the Lions may need another edge rusher because they cut Darius Smith. because they need a because Lions may need another edge rusher to get after to get after the quarterback, and they really need because they need he could be a really good number two edge rusher for this Lions team, and he can get after the quarterback, and he can find a way to be a great one stopper. So yeah, so I like the Lions with that pick. Number 29, I got the Washington Commanders. Selecting. Maybe they'll go defense, maybe they go offense in the draft, but you know what? They added Larry Tunsil. They added Larry Tunsil. They added Nate Herbig because Commanders needed offensive linemen. So yeah, so I think the Commanders. I got them selecting Donovan Jackson, and the reason why is that because Commanders may need offensive line help because they need to find somebody to protect the quarterback. They need to find somebody to be a really good pass blocking unit for them, and they need to find somebody to like get after the quarterback, like somebody that can block better. Like Commanders O line was solid last year, but I don't think it was great, but they could totally take a step back this year. I mean, they don't really need wide receiver, tight end, running back, anything because it's all set. They don't need the quarterback because they got Jaden Daniels for a long term answer because he won Rookie of the Year. Defensively, I don't really think edge rush is really a need because they added Dietrich Wise. I know they lost Jonathan Allen. I mean, Deron Payne's still there. They brought back Bobby Wagner. I mean, they got Frankie Lubu there. Cornerback's not really a need for them because they got Marshawn Lattimore. Safety could be a need, but I'd rather go offensive lineman to get Donovan Jackson because he's totally a perfect fit for the Commanders' offensive line scheme. So I like that pick for the Commanders at 29. Number 30 is tricky because I got the Buffalo Bills. This is tricky because the Bills have tons of needs. Now they did make the AFC Championship last year without Stephon Diggs. Now running back's not really a need. Wide receiver could totally be a need because I know they extend Khalil Shakir. They got Coleman there. They got Curtis Samuel. I mean, they added Josh Palmer. Wide receiver may not be a need. Offensive lineman may not be a need. Defensive lineman is not really a need. Ezra's not really a need. Linebacker's not really a need. Corner's not really a need for them. I mean, safety's not really a need for them. I would go after wide receiver in the draft. So I'll like the Bills to select Matthew Golden at 30. And here's why. I like the Bills with that pick because I think, Matthew Golden can totally fit the Bills system really well. And I feel like he's a really good fit for the Bills receiving core. And I feel like he can totally be the long term answer for the Bills wide receiver one position because I don't know if Khalil Shakir is a great number one, but Khalil Shakir had another breakout season. Coleman's entering through his second year. He could totally break out. But I feel like Matthew Golden is a really good fit for the Buffalo Bills. And he could because I don't really know if Amari Cooper is gonna come back. So I like Matthew Golden with that pick at 30. So yeah. Because Matthew Golden is a really good wide receiver. He's good outside of numbers. He's good with yards at the catch. He can get open. He can separate. So yeah, I like the Bills with that pick at 30. Number 31, the Chiefs is tricky because the Chiefs they really need offensive linemen because they've lost Tooney because they traded him away. Wide receivers not really a need because they got their young receivers for the future. They brought back Hollywood Brown. Running back could totally be a need because, Isaiah Pacheco struggles to stay healthy. Tight end is fine. Defensively is fine. They may not need to address, linebacker, edge rusher. Cornerbacks not really need. They could totally use a safety because they lost Reed in free agency. They can totally address safety, but I don't know if they're gonna address that in the first round. But I'll look to address, offensive linemen. Because they got Jawan Taylor, they got Jalen Moore, they got Trey Hendrickson. Creed Humphrey is there. But at the same time, I think the Chiefs are probably going to select an offensive lineman. So I got the Chiefs selecting Josh Corley at number 31. And here's why. Because I think the Chiefs, need an offensive lineman. They need an offensive tackle because they need to protect Mahomes. And I feel like I feel like Josh Corley is a really good pass blocker. I mean, he could really good at pass protection. He can block. And I feel like he can totally fit that Chiefs offensive system really good. And I feel like he could totally be the long-term answer for that Chiefs offensive line and for that left tackle position or else that offensive tackle position. So yeah, I like Josh Corey with that pick at 31. Last but not least, the Philadelphia Eagles at number 32. So obviously, as you all know it, the Eagles have tons of needs because they don't need to go after offense. They don't need to go after quarterback because Jalen Hurts elite. Wide receivers not in need. They can totally use tight end because there's rumors saying that Dallas Goedert could totally be traded, but I don't see it happening. Offensive line is not really a need. They may need to go after defense because, they may need another Edward. They may need another linebacker. They could totally go after safety, but I heard that the Eagles could totally get Justin Simmons, but I don't know. We'll see. They got Reed Blankenship. They got their young corners for the future. They got Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper Jardine. But this is kind of tough, though. Do I really want the Eagles to go after edge rusher? Do I really want that? Or do I want them to go after D line? This is tricky. I got them going safety in the draft, so I got the Eagles selecting Malaki Starks at number 32 because I feel like he can totally fit that system. He can fit that system better. He can fit Vic Fangio's defense, and I feel like he could be a future. He could be a superstar safety for the future for the Eagles. He could be the long term answer, but he could totally replace Chauncey Gardner Johnson. And the Eagles love select Georgia Bulldog. So I like the Eagles selecting Malaki Starks at 32, and I feel like I like him with that pick at 32 as well because he's a really good tackler. He's a really good stopping the pass and locking down tight ends and covering them. So yeah, I like the Eagles with that pick at 32 for Malaki Starks. Well, all right, guys. Those are all my draft prediction for round one. Thank you guys for watching. And don't forget, if you disagree with me, just let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of my round one mock draft pick to see which team you got, which player you got, which team you got, which team you think a player will go to. So yeah, so this is Mayo Jones, big fan. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys later. Peace.